6 hours, I was lying on my kitchen floor after a heart attack. When the hospital called my daughter, she said she was too busy to come. The Last Call. A story of hearts that break and bridges that can still be built. The last thing I remember before the darkness took me was the smell of burnt coffee and the sound of my own heart stuttering like a broken engine. My name is Walter Greer. I am 67 years old, a retired civil engineer who built bridges for 38 years, structures designed to hold the weight of thousands, to last for centuries. I built things meant to connect, yet somehow I had failed to build the one bridge that mattered most, the one between me and my daughter, Clara. They found me on the kitchen floor of my house on Elm Ridge Drive. The neighbor's boy, Marcus, had come to return a wrench I'd lent him weeks earlier. He peered through the glass panel of the front door, saw my legs splayed out across the tile like fallen timber, and called 911. I owe that young man my life. I did not know it yet, of course. I was somewhere far away, drifting in a warm, soundless place where nothing hurt and nothing demanded anything of me. I came back slowly. The white ceiling of the hospital room materialized above me like a cold, blank canvas. The beeping of machines filled the silence. A nurse named Helen was adjusting a tube in my arm with practiced gentleness. She had kind eyes, the kind that have seen too much pain to be surprised by any of it. "Mr. Greer," she said softly, "you're at St. Augustine Medical Center. You had a cardiac event. You're stable now." I tried to speak. My throat was dry as cracked earth. "Water," I managed. She gave me a small cup. I drank it like a man who had crossed a desert. "We called your emergency contact," Helen said, her voice carefully neutral in the way only trained professionals can manage. "Your daughter, Clara Greer Whitman." I felt something stir in my chest, not my heart this time, but something older and more fragile than any organ. Did she come?" My voice broke on the last word. Helen paused, just a breath's length of a pause, but in that pause lived an entire answer. "She said she was busy," the nurse said quietly. "She asked us to keep her updated." I said nothing. I turned my face toward the window. Outside, the March sky was the flat, pewter gray of an old coin. A pigeon sat on the ledge, round and indifferent. I envied it briefly, to need nothing, to feel nothing, to simply exist on a ledge above the world. Clara and I had not spoken in 14 months. The falling out was over something that had started small, a disagreement about her mother's estate after Margaret died, and had grown, as silences do, into something vast and impassable. Words were said that could not be unsaid. Doors were closed. Months became a year. A year became a wound that neither of us reached across to tend. I had been proud. I will not pretend otherwise. I had told myself that I was right, that she owed me the first apology, that I could wait her out the way I had waited out difficult clients and stubborn contractors. But the body, it turns out, does not care about who is right. The body simply breaks. Dr. Patel, a compact, serious man with silver-rimmed glasses, came in the late afternoon. He explained what had happened in calm, clinical language. Mild heart attack, blockage in the left anterior descending artery, stent procedure completed successfully. I would need to stay 3 days. I would need to change the way I lived. "You live alone, Mr. Greer?" he asked, reviewing my chart. "Yes. Is there anyone who can be with you when you're discharged? The first few weeks matter." I thought of Clara. I thought of my brother Dennis, who lived in Phoenix and had bad knees and was 71 himself. I thought of the empty rooms of my house on Elm Ridge Drive, where Margaret's reading chair still sat by the window because I had never been able to move it. "I'll manage," I said. Dr. Patel looked at me over his glasses. He had surely heard that before. That night, unable to sleep, I asked Helen for a pen and some paper. She brought me a yellow legal pad and a blue ballpoint pen. I stared at the blank page for a long time. The machines beeped. Somewhere down the hall, someone coughed. A television murmured. Then I began to write. Not an accusation, not a defense. Just a letter to my daughter, the kind I should have written 14 months ago, or perhaps 14 years ago, when I first began to understand that being a good engineer and being a good father were not the same discipline at all. I wrote about her mother, about the way Margaret used to say that Clara had my stubbornness and her grandmother's laugh, and how that combination would either save her or exhaust everyone around her. I wrote about the night Clara was born, how I had stood in the corridor of another hospital, not so different from this one, and wept in a way I never had before or since, overwhelmed by the terrifying weight of loving something so completely. I wrote I was on the floor for 6 hours before anyone found me. In those 6 hours, the ones I don't remember, I think I understood something I had refused to understand while standing upright, that I would rather be wrong and have you in my life than be right and die alone on a kitchen floor. I folded the letter in thirds. I wrote her name on the outside, Clara, in the careful block letters of a man who built things meant to last. The next morning, I asked Helen if she would mail it for me. She said yes without hesitation, as if it were the most natural request in the world. 3 days later, I was discharged. Marcus's mother drove me home. I sat in Margaret's reading chair by the window and watched the street. The March light had softened. There were small yellow crocuses pushing up along the front walk, which surprised me. I had not planted them, and they had not been there last year. Margaret must have put the bulbs in the autumn before she got sick, trusting that spring would come whether she was here to see it or not. The phone rang on a Tuesday afternoon, 11 days after I mailed the letter. I answered it on the second ring. There was a long pause on the other end, the kind that carries more weight than words. Then Clara's voice, thinner than I remembered but unmistakably hers. "Dad, I got your letter." I gripped the armrest of Margaret's chair. "I know," I said. "I'm glad." Another pause, then, "I'm coming this weekend." I looked at the crocuses through the window. I thought of Margaret, planting them in the cold ground without knowing if she'd live to see them bloom, planting them anyway, because some things deserve to be built, even when you can't be certain of the outcome. "I'll make coffee," I said. And for the first time in 14 months, my daughter laughed.